What's going on, you bunch of heathens? Today we are checking out White Death. We're finishing off the Finland saga with well, White Death, I guess. Not much else to say. I know vaguely of this guy, Simo Häyhä, I believe is his name. Either way, should be a fun video to check out. Links are down below, as always. And without further ado, let's jump in. Hell yeah! Ooh. Doo. The only issue I have with this is just personally, it makes it seem like his Mosin is uncaught. At least that's just what I instantly see whenever I see this. Why is this super reminiscent of another song they've done? I think, anyway. I'm not positive. Don't quote me, all that jazz. Sounds very reminiscent of something, though. Ooh, hell of a line. Yep, that is something he did. Hey, Sisu! Sisu mention. I'm sorry. You're in the bullet's way. The White Death's prey is such a fucking raw line. I love that line. God, this solo, they usually do really fucking well in the solo, and they did not miss on this one. Ooh. Ooh, I love the ending of that. The ending killed that shit. Ooh. I like that. That sounds cool as shit. Love that ending. That ending sounded fucking amazing. All right, we're hopping straight into the history section now. I'm really hoping I learned something new, but who knows? Hope you guys stick around. Let's go.
I'm Indy Nidell.
And I'm Joachim from Sabaton.
And this is Sabaton History.
Hell yeah. Love me some Sabaton history. As you guys well and truly know.
The most prolific sniper in any war was a Finnish soldier fighting in Finland's winter war against the Soviet Union.
And the man is Simo Häyhä, and the Russians knew him as the White Death.
Wait, hold up. What do you... Prolific. Okay, yeah, you could go prolific. I was going to say, most notorious sniper ever is... Honestly, that's a toss-up. I would probably say Chris Kyle just due to how... Whether or not you believe all his feats and whatnot. Like, I know there's worry that he lied, that he, like, wasn't actually... Certain aspects of him wasn't the greatest and all that. But I'd say probably Chris Kyle just due to the fact of his movie, his book, like so much about him probably helped push him into the public eye a lot of the time. I mean, other than that, I mean, I don't know a whole lot of snipers. I mean, there's I forget her name. What is it? Like the Black Widow of Stalingrad or whatever. The female Russian sniper during World War II. Simo Häyhä, and then honestly, I think of God, is it Hitchcock or Hithcock? Carlos Hathcock. That's his name. Hathcock. Carlos Hathcock is a fucking well and true like legend. I love Hathcock. And those are like the main big four snipers at least.
Simo Häyhä was born December 17, 1905, in the small Finnish municipality of Rautjärvi, near the Russian border. His peers described him as a friendly, mild-mannered, introverted man who kept to himself and to his daily work as a farmhand. Rautjärvi is surrounded by
stick to yourself, buddy.
So although Simo grew up in quiet times away from city life, his own life was far from easy. The harsh, unforgiving winters forced the people of Southeast Finland to come to terms with the wilderness around them. Early on, Simo excelled as a naturally gifted hunter, spending most of his youth outside in the forest, shooting small game with an old bolt-action rifle. By the age of 20, he had undergone his mandatory military service and had been promoted to corporal. He took part in several skiing and shooting competitions. He was a real biathlete, and he was especially renowned for his skills with the rifle.
Dude, like biathlete, that's... I swear, I was thinking of a sport or whatever like that in the first Finnish song that we listened to. Yeah, that's biathletes. That's what I was thinking of.
Like most Finnish men, he had joined the national militia after his compulsory service. This was the suojeluskunta, a service for young men that dated back to Finland's Declaration of Independence in 1917 and the Civil War the following year. The service trained men like Häyhä to be prepared for those times when Finland most needed them. Such times came November 30th, 1939, as the Soviet Union declared war on Finland. A man from a simple upbringing like Simo Häyhä cared little for world politics, nor much about the ambitions of dictators of the time like Joseph Stalin. But like many Finns, he was fiercely independent and valued
Leave my shit alone.
His country's liberty above pretty much all else.
Leave me the fuck alone.
That liberty would be lost if the Finnish people did not stand up to defend it, regardless of the size of the enemy. So as the call to arms came, Häyhä, like many of his countrymen, answered.
Almost night, a crimson horizon, painting thousand legs red. As your army approaches the east, a hunter is switching his prey.
He joined the 34th Infantry Regiment in the Kola region north of Lake Ladoga. The Soviet 8th Army
area
aimed for
change.
a quick breakthrough across the Kolanjoki River, but they were utterly unprepared to fight in such a region. Heavily
Ooh, he had to redub that. You can definitely tell he had to redub that.
wooded, with barely any infrastructure at the best of times, the Soviets tried to advance now in one of the worst winters in modern history, with snow up to 2 meters deep and temperatures down to -30. Häyhä was given a Finnish Mosin Nagant M28-30, which had been in production since 1928. A bit shorter and a bit heavier than the Russian-manufactured rifle.
Yeah.
The typical
I want it. Is it that one, the M28-30? My brother has a Mosin, but it's not that one. He has a standard Russian surplus one that he bought, God, years and years ago. I want to say it's the 2830 that I really want. I love the Mosin. So nice to fire. 2830, I believe, is the one I really want that's like rare. I'm not positive though. There's so many versions of the Mosin.
And accuracy. The M28 was an excellent sniper rifle, nicknamed the Pistikorva, pointy ear, for the large ears on the
that's
front
kind of
sight.
cute.
It would perform well in the hands of an experienced marksman like Simo Häyhä. The Finns could not hope to win against the might of the Soviet army in a straight-up pitched battle. The Soviets simply had more of everything: tanks, men, artillery. Instead, the Finnish art of war relied heavily on hit-and-run tactics, with men on skis who knew the terrain, outflanking, infiltrating, and ambushing the sluggish Soviet invaders, many of whom had no skis or did not know how to ski, ruining mobility. While the Finns
they were under-equipped,
naturally familiar with the winter conditions,
and not really trained for the conditions.
Soviet forces were woefully not. Many came from the military district of Leningrad and had not even been supplied for a long, drawn-out conflict. The winters in Finland are harsh and unforgiving, and even when the sun is out during the short days, it is still bitterly cold. Häyhä wrapped himself in a thick and heavy snowsuit, insulating himself as much as possible from the snow and the cold winds.
That famous
And he
fucking
wore
photo
fur
of him.
mittens and a sniper mask. The white color of his clothing blended in perfectly with the winter environment and the snow-covered forests of Kola. He preferred to work alone, being accustomed to stalking the deep forests on his own, and he knew to rely on his instincts. Patience was vital, as was leaving as little trace of his passage as possible. A hunter had to be cunning and precise in his actions, carrying only a day's worth of food and around.
God damn. Some of these photos that they have of the time is insane.
50 or 60 rounds with him. Häyhä relied on his knowledge of the wilderness to find a good spot from which he could establish his sniper's nest. Once he found his position, he would build a little snow fort around himself to blend in with the environment. He placed his rifle on a snowbank that both stabilized his aim and prevented any snow from being thrown up by the recoil, and waited for the enemy to march.
That isn't how the snow, just resting it wouldn't stop the recoil. It's he would pour water and over it to have it solidify overnight into ice. So that way, when he shot, there wouldn't be a puff of snow from the gases exiting the barrel. That's what it was.
Into his
not just
field.
resting it.
When Soviet soldiers, struggling and freezing in the snow, would cross his path, Häyhä put a handful of snow in his mouth to hide his breath. Then he pulled the trigger.
All alone, a man with his gun wanders into the wild. Tracks you down, you cannot hide once he is onto your trail.
It is said that during his training in the army, he was able to hit a target 150 meters away up to 16 times a minute. So now, the marching routes were full of dead Soviet soldiers who fell prey to the hidden marksman without ever knowing what had hit them. Soviet positions were soon discovered, deserted of the living, but packed with bodies, frozen in their last positions before being shot and killed. Sometimes they were found still standing up, and in the sub-zero temperatures, even a minor wound was often fatal, as the weakened body would have a harder time surviving the elements. And Häyhä is believed to have not missed his target very often. In his short time at the front, his kill tally would rise to unprecedented levels. Hundreds fell to his rifle. So many, in fact, that his superiors did not believe the stories at first. Apparently, just before Christmas, he killed 25 soldiers in just one day. While many Finnish and Soviet snipers used modern sniping rifles outfitted with telescopic lenses, Häyhä relied on the old-fashioned
he used tire
sights. Not only did he feel that this gave him a better picture of his target, but more importantly, it would allow him to keep his head down lower, and in turn, lower his whole profile.
That is a story I've heard. I can't remember where it came from. Because if I'm not mistaken, he never actually put out anything. I believe a lot of the stories either came from other people who, you know, heard about it secondhand and whatnot, or I believe his family, after he passed away maybe or something like that, released his diary, I believe.
Making him harder
I'm
to
not
spot.
mistaken.
And lenses could reflect the light and reveal position, as was the case with many Soviet marksmen who were sent out to counter-snipe him and instead met their fate to his outdated rifle. But Häyhä was also trained with the 9mm Suomi submachine gun, and depending on the fighting at hand, he also carried hand grenades and a traditional pulkko army knife as a last resort. As a sniper acting often alone beyond the front lines, Häyhä had to be careful and often forfeited obvious targets if they would endanger his position. The Soviets began beefing up their own counter-sniping activity, especially after his kill tally gained him both fame and infamy. If they suspected him of being somewhere, they would order artillery strikes in his general direction in the hope of finally neutralizing him.
Yeah, no, they fucking hated the guy.
There's even a story that a Soviet commander asked to be sent a famous Soviet sniper to eliminate Häyhä. After that sniper had killed several Finnish soldiers and officers, he waited for Simo to react and eventually show himself. He waited and waited, and as the sun went down, he decided to call it a day and was about to get up. That was when Simo Häyhä shot him right through the head. Another story was that Soviet soldiers began carrying large iron shields into the field.
Oh, I haven't heard this story.
From sniper fire. The Finnish snipers like Häyhä were accurate enough that they simply shot them in the kneecaps. Such stories began to circulate.
I never heard that story, but the first one, yeah, I have.
Became famous to friends and foe alike. The Finnish propaganda portrayed him as a symbol that embodied the struggle of little defiant Finland, while the Soviet propaganda called him Pimeä Smrt, White Death. The legend of White Death,
hell of a fucking name to get,
ghost-like figure that was both everywhere and nowhere, creeping tirelessly through the woods. It freaked the Soviet soldiers out, and it boosted Finnish morale. On February 17, 1940, 80 days after the invasion, Simo Häyhä was officially proclaimed a hero of Finland by the Finnish government, and with hundreds of kills to his name already then, was awarded the Kola Cross. He was promoted and gifted a custom-made Sako M2830 rifle. But despite the legends, Simo Häyhä was not invincible and was not a ghost. He was a man, just like any other Finn, manning the defenses. In early March 1940, as the winter receded, it became clear that though Finland had astonished the world by holding off the mighty Red Army, they could not hold out forever.
Unfortunately not, as we learned.
Were gathering more firepower and more competent leaders and tactics. And as the winter ended, so too...
No, but they did make them bleed. I will give them that. They made them fucking bleed.
No matter how valiantly they resisted, the numbers would eventually crush them. On March 6th, Häyhä was caught up in the middle of a renewed Soviet offensive against Kola. Fighting with the regular troops, Häyhä had again killed at least a dozen that day. An exploding bullet hit him in the jaw and ripped his lower face apart. Saved by his comrades,
pretty sure that was a war crime, by the way.
He was dragged out of the fighting and into hospital. He spent several days in a coma, and when he awoke on March 13th, peace had been signed. The war was over.
They had to wait till he was out of... They had to wait to sign till he was out of commission.
The Soviets had paid a high price. Most estimates of the Soviet dead are around 130,000, but it may actually have been as high as 250,000 dead men. Finland had David and Goliath, the USSR, on a scale no one imagined possible. Finnish independence had been saved. Simo Häyhä would bear the wounds to his face for the rest of his life, but otherwise fully recovered. He could not go back to his own home, though, which was now on the other side of the Soviet border.
Yep, so
he found a new home and lived a long, peaceful life until his death in 2002.
Yeah, he did live a long time.
Emphasized that during his service in the Winter War, he simply did what he was told. But he was the best at it. In 90
Hell yeah, he was.
Days, His official score was 505 kills, making him the most successful sniper in history. That's just the official tally. Unofficially, it was higher. Now, of course, those numbers will always be debatable,
Of
such
course.
is the nature of war.
Yeah.
But the legend of White Death is very much alive today, and not just in Finland. When asked what it was that made him such a great sniper, Häyhä simply answered, practice.
I mean, honestly, yeah. Hell yeah, this concert again. This concert is dope as shit.
So why, of all the military figures available throughout the history of humanity, did you pick Simo to write about?
The story of Simo
He's
is one of the
fucking
most
legend.
inspiring in military history, at least for me. Personal opinion, of course, but that song
Oh, yeah,
and
he
that
is.
story is kind of important for Sabaton history because without that song, maybe we wouldn't even have the album Heroes that came later.
Okay, but it wasn't, his song isn't on Hero.
No, that's on Coat of Arms. That was the first time we asked our fans, that's you guys, about sending in, basically giving us ideas for songs.
Okay, but you guys still do that. of
Yes,
course. But this was the
absolutely.
beginning.
That was the first time. We got a lot, lots and lots. Per's mailbox was, totally full. That was one of the stories that really, only by reading kind of the name makes you want to find out.
Now, so if they're sending in, several thousand suggestions, you obviously can't read whole biographies about all of these people or anything, right?
Oh,
You're
no. Obviously, Per is the one who is going through it all, basically.
Is that right, Per?
Yeah.
All right.
The fucking yell
No, I
off
mean,
screen is
Per's sitting
amazing.
there, and I mean, he's probably doing that right now, looking at suggestions.
Okay.
How many do you have per day, Per? 50 or something?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Per.
Let's see.
Ooh, yeah, let's see. It's gotta be a fucking shitload.
The latest one is this.
Okay. Song topic, global conquest. Okay, there are many good tales of heroism. People from Portugal, Spanish. Oh, this is
Ooh.
interesting. Okay. Portuguese and Spanish explorers. Okay.
Dude,
Sebastian
hell yeah.
Elcano
This should be
and-
cool
my
as
God,
shit.
Traveling around the world for the first time. Pizarro, that would be interesting, although... Okay, and who sent this in to you? Adrian Crespo. Hey, Adrian Crespo.
That's so cool.
From me and
fucking
from Sabaton.
live
Okay, so
shout
Per
out is
actually looking at
amazing.
your ideas to try and figure out what they're going to write more songs about. Well, so
That's actually such a cool little tidbit. That's like, yeah, you could send them in, but you don't actually know if they'll see it. This just proves like, yeah, no, Par will look through them. That's
he chose
super
from, or
fucking
he
cool.
maybe made a short list. You saw White Death. You thought, I want to learn more about a guy whose nickname is the White Death.
And it's a good metal title.
That
really
is
is a
that
good
is a metal title.
No, seriously though, for us at that point, I don't think we had that many songs about a single individual.
Oh,
I
right,
mean, we
yeah,
covered
sure.
a little, on the bigger scale, all the battles and stuff.
Yeah,
but
early
zooming
shit.
in so much was really inspiring to write the lyrics.
Okay.
Oh
We
yeah.
didn't even know we were gonna do Heroes, but me and Per basically said that, man, maybe one day we should do a more personal album,
Now, when you were, reading up about Simo and stuff, were you also studying the Winter War in
God, I love
general,
the
or were
birds
you
chirping
just
in the
really more
background?
focusing on just the individual?
We'd already covered the Winter War in a way in the song Talvisota on the Art of
Which
War.
we did
before.
an episode.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, check it out.
And
Already
what
have.
was the reaction then, since you didn't do really individuals before? I mean, what was the reaction among the Finns, for example, to this?
For the Finnish people, I mean, most people in Finland would know about Simo Häyhä. However, us coming from Sweden, we didn't. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
Every nation has its own histories.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
there's
yeah.
a lot of people in Pakistan who don't know who Fonzie is, but I grew up with Fonzie. You know.
Hell of
Important part of
fucking.
military history right
We're
there.
gonna do an episode on Fonzie one day.
Yes.
too.
That's a
would be
hell of a
cool. You
fucking
guys should do
cut.
something
We should
on
have Per play him the part, as well.
that. Oh, Per doing the thumbs up and the leather? That'd
Yeah,
be great.
yeah,
You
we
be
give-
Fonzie.
Hey,
Yeah,
Give,
yeah,
him,
he
give him a
looks
haircut
great.
and everything, it's fine.
All right, well, that was the White Death, and this is Sabaton History for today. See you next time.
God, I love Sabaton history. Always a fun time.
Thanks everybody for watching this week's episode of Sabaton History channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't
Already
forget
am.
to support us here on Patreon. And we will see each other very soon again, okay?
What is that? Become Patreon. Better for your health.
Jesus, bro. Go check them out. Like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, you guys take care of yourselves. See ya.